All right, so we're back here on another Washington Football Guys podcast. We are here. What's going on, Rob?
Another week. We missed last week. I had work. You had a little thing that you
Yeah,
did, but I'm glad to be back. My favorite day of the week for sure. Not only
yeah,
is it the end of the work week, but I get to talk Washington football with you. So it's always good.
always good. It was a long 2 weeks, but we had to take care of business on our end last week,
Yeah.
so we are back and refreshed and better than ever. We are here on the Washington Football Guys podcast, definitely powered by the Off the Ball Network. So we're here under the lights on a football Friday, flashback Friday, which we'll have our flashback Friday topic of this week. So without further ado, man, let's get into some. This is we're roughly about 32 days away from training camp. In my beloved backyard of Richmond, Virginia. So this is a great time to kind of, help the guys get themselves together mentally, get ready for the season. And yeah, man, definitely we're so close to training camp, we can taste it at this point.
Yep.
I'm just really excited for another season to start. I'm ready for the ebb and flows of the season, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. So, without further ado, our first topic tonight that we want to discuss: our top 5 players to watch in 2021. Can we put the cart before the horse and say the 2021 NFC East champion Washington football team? Are we allowed to say that tonight? Can we
Absolutely.
do that? All
Absolutely,
right.
we are.
All right. Right. we know we have to hit you up with a hot take
I'm
already.
I'm struggling not to say the 2021 NFC champions. I'm gonna stick
Mm.
with just NFC East for now. I'm not gonna get too hyped. But hey, I feel good about this, which we'll obviously get into not only today but for the weeks to come. I'm excited for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially coming off of last year, winning the division, and then also adding the key pieces that we had in the draft. Is always a free agency, blah. So yeah, I definitely look forward to the season. Probably like we talked about it 2 weeks ago. Probably one of the most exciting, as far as coming into the season that I've been in a while. So now so we're gonna get into our top 5 players to watch. So what we're gonna do, we'll just go back and forth, like your 5. Well, like we go from 1 to 5. Well, 5 to 1. There I go. So who is your 5th player to watch?
My fifth player to watch is Adam Humphries. Who's I think he's one of two things. He's gonna be a key signing, adding depth to that receiver position, or he's going to remain to be. And I don't even want to say he was injury prone because he really wasn't. He just he got injured his 1 year in Tennessee, and then AJ Brown came on the spotlight, and that basically pushed him because he had a really baller season in Tampa the year before. Signed with Tennessee, expected to be compete. Him and Corey Davis were supposed to be that duo, that tandem. He ended up getting hurt, and then AJ Brown was drafted, and we know what he's been doing and what he's going to probably continue to do, especially now that he has Julio Jones. And Adam Humphries kind of fell in the back burner, and so yeah, so I wouldn't say he's injury prone. He just got lost in the chaos that was the Tennessee Titans. So Adam Humphries, I think he's going to be key, and I'm definitely keeping an eye on him to see what he brings, not only as a receiver but as a vet guy in the locker room.
Yeah, big time. So my number 5 has got to go to Antonio Gibson. I really want him to prove you wrong, Rob. I know, we talked about this as far as how he's been successful against, bad defenses.
Right.
I'm hoping that this could potentially change. He's a guy, I think, like we talked about. I wouldn't say he's the engine, but he's a major part. Maybe the tires, maybe of this team as far as when we look at from a running back perspective. I definitely think he has the potential to do great things in this league. He did a great job last year, even though despite, like we said, as far as the run defense is concerned. But to me, he's, with this opportunity, I think with this team, he'll get significant burn. Well, not significant, but he'll have meaningful touches. I'll put it this way, especially when you look at how the offense is now, when you have a gunslinger like Ryan Fitzpatrick, you also have a multitude of weapons. So he'll definitely be key as far as those concerned. Because I know people probably gonna look at it as, oh, you're gonna pass, like almost like a pass first type of offense. And you got a guy coming in with Antonio Gibson. Hopefully he'll do his thing and be our bell cow, and and actually be successful against successful run defenses. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to prove you wrong.
I want them to prove me wrong too. Trust me.
Yeah.
Nobody wants me to be wrong more than me in this. And I wish I had a different view, but just looking at his games last season where he thrived was against teams like Dallas. That
Yep.
obviously we know what Dallas's defense was last year.
Yeah, very much so. Everybody could have ran through it. You and I could have, at least as a duo, could have had about a $120.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
seriously, as young kids say, no cap. I literally think if me and you combine that backfield, we at least get about 60 a pop off of each touch. Who knows how many carries it might take, but give or take,
Yeah.
we probably at least hit about a $120 combined.
I'm not worried about the average.
Right. You might get 70, I might get 50 at this point in my physical fitness level. But so who's your fourth player to watch?
So I kind of cheated here. There were two different spots I was gonna cheat. I didn't want to cheat twice, so I'm just gonna cheat here and say the secondary as a whole. I think we added a lot of good pieces. William Jackson Jr. a guy from Cincinnati. And I always forget his name, dude from Miami that we picked up.
Oh, the safety.
Yeah.
What's his name? You know what? I'm about to pull that up.
Yeah, pull that up because I can never remember his name. Adding him, we obviously get Landon Collins back again. How he's gonna be. He's coming off that Achilles injury, so it's hard. I know it's always hard to come back from an Achilles tear. You lose a lot of explosiveness. There were a lot of talks of him possibly going down, moving to linebacker, because that was one of the his pluses was that he's quick as a safety, but he has that frame, he has that build to play in the box, which is what he's normally used as, is in the box.
Oh,
so just excited to see what they can do together. We improved greatly.
Yeah, so actually it is Bobby McCain. I had to remember that as well. Bobby McCain. Yeah, so it was Bobby McCain with that pick, and not with that pick, but who was released. So we got a fellow a future Washington football fan also as well.
Oh, absolutely. She already
yes.
has a shirt. I'm gonna get her a jersey. She's ready.
Yes, absolutely. My number 4, and also kind of piggyback to your point in the secondary, but the one I want to look for is Benjamin St. Just, the cornerback out of Minnesota, the rookie.
Yep.
I just think and we kind of touched on it last week as far as from minicamp perspective. There are so many articles of people singing his praises and what he did in minicamp. So I'm really intrigued of what he's going to do as far as you look at just from the cornerback standpoint. We talked about William Jackson is there as well, and then also Kendall Fuller as well. So you just look at and how he'll kind of fit in that pecking order. He's probably going to get some time in certain spots, maybe. So we're going to just definitely going to see what he can do. And then just this whole just the whole buzz around him is really making me intrigued.
Yeah. I've been listening to a couple of different podcasts over the last week, and they've all spoken about him, saying that because he's a big dude. He's not, I don't want to say a typical corner, but you see corners nowadays that they're getting smaller and quicker to keep up with the smaller receivers like a Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel. But St. Just is a big dude. He's a big dude, and he's apparently, from what I'm reading, from what I'm hearing, he can run with them. he can run with Curtis Samuel, with Scary Terry. He can run with all of them. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do. And I think he's more of a man-to-man corner.
Yeah,
So he'll be able to get somebody like Amari Cooper off his route, get that timing between him and Dak. Kind
yeah,
of get that timing off. You got Kenny Golladay now in New York.
yeah.
Once they find a quarterback for him, he'll be able to throw the timing off for him and his quarterback. And then Philly, we don't need to worry about Philly.
Yeah. I guess. Well, we got the former Heisman Trophy winner potentially down the line.
Who, Spencer
So
Rattler?
no. I'm talking about what's his face, Devontae Smith.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Devontae Smith is there, but
down the
they're in
line,
the same boat as the Giants. Is they need a quarterback too. Once they get a
Yeah.
quarterback to throw to him, then I'll be worried.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, with that, you just got to kind of pay attention to that potentially. But for the most part, I definitely, like you said, he'll definitely, complement that cornerback position. So number 3, who you got, Rob?
For my number 3 is your number 5. I got Antonio Gibson there, mainly because of his lack of production against good run defenses last year. I want to see what he's able to do if he's just what he's done with his body in the offseason, and see how much if he's picked up more of the playbook, which I'm sure he wasn't missing much because that dude is a workhorse. But I'm definitely he's one of the top guys. Obviously, I have him at number 3. He's one of the top guys that I'm definitely keeping my eye on.
Yeah. Mine's so Rob, pardon my bias, but my nephew, the Monty Brown, out of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Of course.
It reigns in minds. I'm definitely interested in how he's going to be in this dynamic with Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphries, Terry McLaurin. Just how he's going to be in that position. Like he's going to be a guy I think is going to take the top off defense. He has incredible speed.
Yep.
I think he's going to definitely feel that bill. He's going to be definitely a good receiver in this league. He'll definitely help us out immediately. That's one thing I'm really excited about his wide receiver core. It's to a point where it's like when we talked about this often, even before the show, like as far as this wide receiver core, and it's gonna be like literally low key sad who doesn't make this team. Like it's gonna be somebody. There's gonna be a I call it. I wouldn't say I don't like to say casualty, but there's gonna be someone who's gonna be cut, and you're gonna be like, wow, like it's gonna because I just look at depth of this receiving core, and somebody's gonna be let go, and you're gonna be like, dang, it sucks, but it's a part of life. But yeah, he's gonna, that's what
that's a good problem to have, especially because us as fans, we've seen one of our biggest problem year in and year out outside of the quarterback position is we've had no weapons.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate because all these receivers will be able to help and contribute in some way, form, or fashion. So it's going to suck being able, having to see some of them go. I don't know. I think it was Steven Sims who dropped the ball a lot last year, quite a bit, especially down the road. Cam Sims is a beast. I love Cam Sims. I think he needs to be on the team. But yeah, if somebody like Adam Humphries ends up, getting hurt or just flat out not making it, yeah, it's gonna suck. But I'd rather have that problem than, who can we grab up off the street to fill in the slot.
Yeah, big time. And yeah, that's one thing when you look at from that standpoint where, like you said, it's now, like you said, because it used to be one of our biggest weakness, that wide receiver core. Now it has strengthened exponentially at this point. So yeah, you look at it from that standpoint, and yeah, I definitely, like you say, it's almost like I wouldn't say an embarrassment of riches. That might be a little bit too facetious at this point, but it's damn near an embarrassment of riches as far as our wide receiver core.
Yeah,
at this point, especially in this not early, but as far as how quickly this depth that we acquired. Because essentially, like 2 years ago, we were pretty much like, who's there?
Yep.
It was pretty much no man's land essentially when it came to
Right.
wide receivers and what have you. But yeah, so number 2, who you got, Rob?
I got my guy Fitz. I want to see what Fitz
Yeah.
can do with this team. I'm excited to see if he can get rid of those whatever they are every year when he seems to play really well, and then just throws a bunch of picks and basically ruins team seasons, because he's a good quarterback. If he just clean up the picks, he could have made a couple playoff. He could have done made it to playoffs a couple times, maybe a Pro Bowl here and there, which is what he needs to be eligible to get into the Hall of Fame, which is where he belongs. I'm excited to see what he can do with these weapons. And Ron Rivera's even said, if there's no reason to think that if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't produce this year, that he's not the guy going forward. Everybody's just assuming he's a one and done guy because that's all he's been his entire career, just one and done. But he's never had a team like this. So if he can make a deep playoff run, if he can make us, get us to an NFC Championship game, why not keep him on the roster? Everybody's thinking, our boy Heineke might be the future. That's what Washington Twitter is all about right now. It's Heineke season over there. But if Fitzpatrick can produce and he gets a deep playoff run, he could be the guy another 3, maybe 4 years.
Yeah, big time. And like, especially in the nation's capital, the 3 most famous people in Washington, D.C. is the president, the starting quarterback, and the backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback, absolutely.
He's damn near the most popular person in D.C.
Yep.
Especially if your number 1 isn't playing up to par. But so I got 2 guys at this point. I got like a 2A and a 2B. And I actually allude to yours as well. Mine was Taylor Heineke. Because I look at it from the standpoint, even though you more likely Cal Allen probably will be the QB2 on the team potentially. And that's another thing too, where QB2, I know there's open competition for QB1, but QB2 by far, I think, in my personal opinion, might be one of the biggest battles. Because for some odd reason, because I still got a little bit of my money on Cal Allen being the second string, potentially. Why you looking like that for, Rob?
You already know why.
I know you're not the biggest Cal Allen fan on the pod or just in life in general.
I'm not even a Kyle Allen fan. Forget
You're
one
not.
of the biggest. I am not a Kyle Allen fan in any stretch of the imagination.
We're well aware of that. But I'm telling you, I get you because I'm not okay. He gave us a small sample size of what he did last year. He got hurt in the Rams game in October, so he's only played 3 or 4 games with us.
I'm gonna let you finish.
So I would not be surprised if he cracks QB2 and then Taylor might be the third. I understand like the pedigree of it, but either or, whoever's QB2 is going to be the most interesting one, because I think in the simple fact of that's going to be the most intriguing, because because we look at Fitzpatrick from a body of work standpoint, besides the Miami years, he really hasn't. he really hasn't had essentially. See, I got thrown off my game momentarily, but
I don't even know why we keep letting him on.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, man, it's family. Even though we're rivals, but it's brotherly love. It's brotherly love. Either brothers always disagree with stuff, but this is one of the key topics we will disagree with as far as with Dallas. But the thing about the situation with Fitzpatrick, will he be able to play the entire season? As far as from a productivity standpoint, that's something that's kind of it's real. That we I won't say it's the elephant in the room per se. Maybe it's a a
No,
cat in the room, a dog
but
in the room potentially.
no,
But
I would say elephant because he's
yeah,
done it every year for the last 5-6 years. We do when he was in Buffalo it was like that. When he was in Tampa, that the first 3 or 4 games he was balling out,
yeah,
and then he had the game against Washington where threw for 500 plus yards, but also threw 5 picks
yeah,
and they weren't able to score any points. He did it in Miami as well. He played very well, but sputtered at the end. And it's the same thing with Fitz every single year, and which is why I had him at number 2 because I'm very excited, very anxious to see what he can do with these type of weapons.
yeah. But hey, but we
Hey,
just
I'm just gonna say this real quick since
yeah,
since he's in the room. Fitzpatrick will do better with these weapons than Dak could do with his weapons in Dallas.
he's got a point.
I do have a point.
He has a point. Yeah, I can say you have a point. But essentially, and then also another guy I want to see also.
Hey, you opened it up. Can't stop,
Hey.
won't stop. You already know how I am. I don't know why you even thought to get me going.
And then another guy that I want to see as my 2B. It's gonna be Jamel Davis. We were, obviously we talked, we witnessed the draft live, and yes, in the beginning we were reserved of the situation, and I think cooler heads prevail. That's why I think that's kind of the beauty of our fandom. I think
Yeah,
we get the raw emotions, but then we digest it days later, or whatever, and then we understand kind of the nature of it. He's gonna be like, he's be our what we call our Mike linebacker. So he'll be definitely. I'm definitely intrigued of what he's gonna do for this team. Like he'll be the spy for our opposing guys. We look at like Dak. So Dak Prescott, like other types of weapons on these teams as well. So that's just going to definitely be an interesting what he's going to do from that position. And like you said, he's playing that position. Ron Rivera's been there, Jack Del Rio. So I trust them. I trust the brass of that pick, and I definitely think he's gonna definitely. I think he out of all the rookies, he'll probably have one of the most immediate impacts on the defensive side. I think even in the league, not much less the team, but I think
absolutely.
in the league with because he's already kind of much great. He got a great setup with his defensive line, and then with him, he can just roam around and just be a spy and just be and just be that versatile linebacker that's just gonna just create havoc. So you're you're number 2. Oh, no. You're number 1. You're number
My
1.
number 2 was Fitz,
Yeah.
and my number 1 is our boy Heineke.
Yeah.
Because that's our QB2 right there.
Okay.
Before we get into this Kyle Allen mess and even pretend that he deserves a spot on the roster, let alone a QB2 spot over our boy Heineke. Kyle Allen has not shown anything to us. He's shown that he can come in when people don't know who he is and win 4 straight games in Carolina, and then after that, do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
He played however many games he played with us this year and lost all but one. Played garbage in pretty much all of them. Didn't play well against LA. Yes, he got hurt, but he did not play well against LA.
Yeah, that hurt. Yeah.
So Kyle Allen, he's irrelevant. Our boy Hennessy, though, the biggest knock on him all throughout the offseason after that great playoff game, which I just watched the clips from it literally right before to get me hyped. That dive, that third and 6 play dive for the pylon, that gets me hyped every time. Outside, that whole game proved that he can play, but the biggest question was, can he survive a 16, now 17 game season?
Yeah.
So what does he do? He goes and puts on 15 pounds of muscle to get his body ready for a full NFL season. Will he have to use those 15 pounds? I hope not. I hope Fitz runs away with this. I hope Fitz balls out, gets us to an NFC championship game, gets a 2-3 year extension, and wins us a Super Bowl in a couple years. If not next year. That's what I hope for. Worst case scenario, Heineken is ready to go. Taylor Heineke is ready to go. And from everything I'm hearing and reading with him is he might mess around and take that QB1 spot. He's impressing a lot of people in camp. He's impressing a lot of people watching camp. So who knows? He might have to use that bigger build for a full 17 game season. And if he does, I'll be his number one fan. Let's go. Let's go win us a division title.
And yeah, so you'll be rocking the number 4 jersey this fall on the Watch the Football Guys podcast.
So I'm superstitious with jerseys, so I will not be wearing a jersey. But I will be supporting him. Any jersey I've ever bought, something has happened to the player, whether traded, released, and then obviously we've talked about it. My Sean Taylor jersey, I got a month and a half before he was killed. So I'm done buying jerseys of active players. Once either Fitz or Heineke leads us to 3 or 4, 7, 8 consecutive Super Bowl wins, and they retire, go into Hall of Fame, I'll buy his jersey then. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna pump the brakes on it.
Yeah, I think I haven't had an active player jersey in a minute. Like you said, but honestly, well, man, the Sean Taylor situation, but generally that's how the franchise kind of lends itself. Like as far as you'll get a guy and then poof, be gone, he's gone. Yep. But this is a different regime, So yeah, that's definitely interesting. Number one has got to be Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think for me, our guy, he's our QB1 at this point until they'll duke it out in Richmond for that dubious title. But more likely, all signs pointing him to be our QB1. I'm just interested as far as what he's going to do for this team. I just think like when we look at just him from we do it from an X and O standpoint and also personality wise, I think he really, really fits this team more than most quarterbacks that we've had. And I can't even think as far as a quarterback that really kind of think fits our mode at this point, as far as like not Rico, but more so of the journeyman. Like he has something to prove.
Yeah.
More so than anything. And I think everybody is in that same type of mode, even though people have been successful in this game, but they still have a hunger and a desire to win and compete. And I think he's one of those guys. I think he's going to be one of those guys that people are going to fall in line with him as well. So I think he's going to command the locker room at this point early. I think as far as from an offensive standpoint, which obviously on the defense, Chase Young is our leader. We fall in line. Yeah, but I think absolutely. Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to be that one on the offense who's going to kind of set the pace and set the tone for us. He's another guy I think, and he'll be able to kind of, like you said, mentor like a guy like a Taylor Heineke. I think, like you said, and I think there's a future for Taylor Heineke with us. I think it's one of the things where, and I might say Kyle Allen, if he's still on the team potentially, because he could be another one that could be cut. Because am I allowed to say Steven Montez on this podcast tonight?
Ooh.
Am I allowed to say that tonight? Am I? I doubt it, but I mean, he might be he could be a 3 potentially. It just depends what Steven Montez there. Potentially.
I mean, I'd rather have Montez over Allen because I feel like I already know the kind of quarterback Kyle Allen is, and I don't want him anywhere near my team or my locker room.
Right.
Maybe Dallas can have him after Dak gets hurt again.
But yeah, Kyle Allen, like you said, even going back to the Carolina days, I kind of wanted to give him kind of a fair shake and don't bring up the Carolina situation. So, but even though that is a part of him, unfortunately, but it is a part of his past. But it could be a potential. And the good thing with this regime, they're not gonna. I can tell they don't pick favorites because normally you think about in a previous regime, not even just the previous, but just within the last 20 plus years or so. A lot of that stuff, if you come here and he's your backup, he was with you from a previous regime, he gets in the line first.
Mm-hmm.
Versus here where you look at, because 9 times out of 10 normally when a coach comes in and he brings up one of his players, they front of the line. So this team is totally different, from our standpoint, from a Washington football standpoint. We've kind of seen those throughout the years. So yeah. But yeah. So I guess we can, so in other Washington football team alumni news, well, let's talk about. We're just gonna kind of talk a little bit about Derrius Guice. From a legal standpoint, he took it. Not to bring up what he was charged with, but the legal portion of his ordeal, for the most part, looks like it's done. As far as him being cleared or what have you. So my question tonight for Derrius Guice, do you think he'll get a second chance? Not more so now with us necessarily, but just from the league standpoint, do you think he'll get a second chance?
So I've been thinking about this all day.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say yes from a skill standpoint. Mm-hmm. He has the skills, but he is injury prone. Yeah. That was the biggest knock on him. When he was with us, he played great in the few games that he played, but he was always hurt. He tore his ACL his rookie season, that preseason game against the Patriots, and then second season he was in and out of the lineup. I think he will. I think he'll get another chance eventually. Yeah, because teams, you're not relying on Derrius Guice to be the workhorse. You're not. It's no longer a one running back league. It's a running back by committee. You need 2 or 3 really good good running backs. And I think Derrius Guice can definitely be an RB2 on a really good team. A team like New England or Pittsburgh can go reunite over there with our boy Dwayne.
Yeah,
over there in Pittsburgh and work in that backfield, which I think would be great for him.
Yeah. I agree with you as well, because the running back position is so undervalued at this point, where somebody's going to willing to take a chance from him because he's not going to be necessarily like a cap hit or whatever. Like, I think he can get a training camp invite at least.
For sure.
And compete. And because you look at just the running back position, you look at just the simple fact of now, you have to have a multitude of backs to be successful in this league. So you look at, and then it's cheap. It's almost, I hate to say it like this. This is like getting a $1 sandwich from a fast food place.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's how the running back scenario is in the NFL at this point. I could just get another one. If a back is hurt, I can just grab him another one. It's a good thing and a bad thing where it's in high demand, but it's low valued. The injury concern is, and I always, out of all the players, I know we talked about Alex Smith Forrest. I always had a certain type of trepidation for him. Like when he left the pocket. Every time Derrius Guice ran like violently, like he elude tackles, I was like, all right, get up. Get up. I remember we played, I might have been like 2000, I think it was the year because with 18 he got hurt, because that's his rookie year, because he got hurt the first snap against New England in that preseason game. Mm-hmm. And then he played the following year against Atlanta in a preseason game, and he was like run like a bat out of hell. And I kept on like, all right, like slow it. Like I know you know what you gotta do, but do not get hurt on this possession. Like I kept on, like it was just a level of fear. Like dude, like get up. Like every time he fell to the ground, I'm like, all right, this is it. Because in a weird way, the New England, the injury, that injury was really a freak accident. Mm-hmm. How that happened. And then Yeah, and when he played, when he played with us, I mean, it was, he showed flashes, and you look at it now, where he's been on the league for a year. He's not in football shape, but as far as from a an anatomy standpoint, he's pretty much gonna probably have a clean bill of health.
Yeah.
So, he has to have the NFL wear and tear on his body.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, it could be a situation where I think he can definitely fill that bill for some team,
Yeah.
at this point. If he, if everything kind of, have things, continue as far as from a legality standpoint, he should be good if, everything's get cleared up. But yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but just to clarify real quick, he wasn't cleared of any wrongdoing.
He won't. No, he won't.
He came to he came to a settlement, so the charges were dismissed. So it's not like he was found not guilty or she was lying. No, like there was a settlement, so you can only assume that he did something, but
Yeah, and that's the thing too, where like as far as not to kind of bring it out, but how the NFL will view that per se. And that's another thing. Like I said, once he kind of clear I would say now at this point it's a court of public opinion legality system in a sense where so now if he can overcome that essentially, then he can potentially be in that situation. But yeah.
Yeah,
So,
as long as there's no recordings of whatever happened, how we saw with Ray Rice. Ray Rice, had his whole thing, and it seemed not to say that it was going to get swept under the rug, but it was kind of like, all right, you did a thing, cool, let's suspend you for a couple games, and then you'll be back on the field. And then that video came out, and that changed everything.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if it's, you should never hit anybody, let alone a female, if it's unprovoked. But if you, I'm trying to word this right. If it's as egregious as something as Ray Rice did, I hope it is on tape so we can get him out of the league, because nobody like that should be in the league. But if it, if they're good with it now, if they've moved on and he's getting help in whatever capacity he needs help in, I hope he's getting it. I hope he's able to. Hope he's able to succeed wherever he ends up going.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think and that's going to be something that he's going to have to meet with Roger Goodell, and he's going to have to kind of hash that type of stuff out. But from a talent standpoint, I think he'll be in. It's just more just clearing from this. So yeah, big time. So Rob, we got to get into our favorite players from the 2000s, and what a great decade that was for our beloved Washington football team. And I'm really saying that in a very sarcastic way, but
Hey, but we had some shining moments.
Yeah,
we had some good memories, which I'll bring up one off the top of my head that I always think about.
Mm-hmm.
But 2000, 2009, it was. And that was when I was just becoming a fan of football, and going through all that negativity, all the losing, and all the the firing of after Dan Snyder took over, Marty Schottenheimer went 8-8 and got fired, and we really haven't had a good coach since until Ron Rivera.
Joe Gibbs.
So. Oh yeah, we had Joe Gibbs.
We had second go round.
But yeah, we had some memories, and we'll get into that in a minute.
But yeah, so you got a couple. Who's your favorite players from the 2000s?
So I came up with 4 that really impacted not just me as a fan, but in some way my life. First is Champ Bailey.
Yeah.
It was the first jersey I had as a kid, and the first player that I really truly knew who he was, and when I really started to understand how good he was. He's one of the best corners to ever play the game. I wish he would have gotten a ring before he retired, but unfortunately he They got mollywopped by Seattle.
Yeah.
Next, I got Santana Moss. You know that memory that I alluded to. He's
Mm-hmm.
the quote unquote cowboy killer.
Yeah.
Monday
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
down by 13 with I think 3 or 4 minutes left. 2 deep passes to Santana Moss to close the game out. Mo, I hope you're listening. I hope you remember that. I hope that burns into your brain right now. Seeing Santana Moss catch each of those passes to beat your team. Next, Clinton Portis, who ironically was who we got in that trade for Champ Bailey. He impacted me a lot. I remember the year that we traded for him. I was on my way to the driving range with my dad. We were gonna go golfing, and it was a Sunday. It was his first game as a Washington player. Breaks off for like a 75-yard touchdown run against Tampa Bay. And it's funny because I was mad that the team traded Champ Bailey. I was mad because that's the only player that I knew. Like, why would you get rid of our best player? And my dad kind of explained to me, he was like, look, cornerbacks, especially back then, they're a dime a dozen. Champ Bailey's special, but really the gap's not that far. Running backs, though, when you can get a special running back, that can change your whole team. And then I heard it on the radio, and first thing he said, he looked at me and said, I told you, running backs change a team. I said, all right, you might be right about that. I'm okay with it. And then fourth one, the GOAT. He's everybody's favorite player. If he's not on your list, you're not a real Washington fan. Our guy Sean Taylor, number 21, would have been, in my opinion, would have been the best safety to ever play the game had he been able to live out his life and his full NFL career and reach his potential. I strongly believe he would have been the best safety, hands down, in the history of football.
I definitely agree with you on that one. And that's and I allude to Chantel as well, and on mine as well. So my favorite players, I got a few. I probably got like 4 or 5 as well. My first one is like a group. I lumped them into a group. My offensive linemen. Ones I loved. I loved Chris Samuels, John Jensen, the Michigan man. I'm sorry, Mo, but the Michigan man, and my guy Randy Thomas. They used to do this show locally, like on Monday nights, and I used to love them. Like as far as like how they would talk about the game, this and that. I forgot what was the name of it, but these guys they would host like it was like at a bar, like I think it might have been like early, like maybe early to mid 2000s. But that team, they were that was that's when we had a great offensive line.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys they were like my favorite. Definitely John Jensen. John Jensen is like he was a captain. He was a captain of the ship. He was definitely good. And then those shows they used to do, it really showcased their personalities. They're like they're some real cool, down to earth guys. Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis was. I love Stephen Davis. I remember my mom bought me a Stephen Davis jersey for Christmas. I think this might have been 2000. It had to be 2000 because that was like in the 10th grade. But anyway, that's no deal. But the Steven Jackson jersey, the number 48 in the white with the burgundy numbers in the yellow trim. I like.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me nothing going back to the 10th grade after Christmas break with that Stephen Davis jersey. Man, that was elite, man. I definitely loved it. Darrell Green was a guy. He retired in 03. So I think it was 03.
So I wasn't sure when he retired. I wanted to put him on here, but I didn't think he made the cut for 2000s.
Yeah, I think
that's
he retired.
Why I didn't put him on there.
I think he retired like in 2003 or 2002. But even in the crazy thing about it, even with him, like he was almost 40 years old then. Yeah. And he was balling, outperforming a lot of guys. He was especially when he was part of that 2000 team that really like kind of definitely underachieved, to say the least.
Yeah.
Our running backs, also not a running back, but a fullback. Mike Sellers, number 45. That was my guy. I loved Mike Sellers, man. Mike Sellers was awesome. Like he was another guy, that I liked. He was
Yeah.
another guy. He was just, he was all about the team sacrifice, and he's literally one of the type of guys. If he'll run through a wall for you.
Yeah.
Just through his effort.
He definitely was one of my favorite players too.
Yeah. Clinton Portis as well. Even to this day, 17 years later, I still wanted Champ Bailey, because Champ Bailey is a Hall of Fame cornerback that we could have definitely could have had. Even 17 years to this day, I'm like, I didn't like. That's one of the moves I did not like that Joe Gibbs and them did. Honestly, even to this day, 17 years later, I'm like, I wasn't a fan of it. Another guy, our boy Fred Smoot. Fred Smoot was my guy. Fred Smoot was my boy. I love Fred Smoot. He was another one. You really sit down, you think about, like, at once upon a time, our cornerback room was Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders, and Fred Smoot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's crazy when you sit down and think about it. And then what was cool about all that, he came back to us in 2 years. Came back for 2 years, and I think 2007 he came back. We're rocking the number 27 back in then, and then my all-time favorites got to be Sean Taylor. I think he was another one where it's crazy to sit down and you really think, like, I mean, this is just everything as far as obviously the passing, but then just how good he was at that young age, because he was only 24 years old now.
Yeah.
That's another thing where people, I think, when we look at it from just a historical standpoint of someone making an impact like that young, especially at that position, he's another guy where, God, like, the sky was the limit for him. He was a guy, I think, and he was in a situation where he was really, I think he was good, but he was going to get into his groove and he was going to be into a next gear. Like, it's so crazy to think. Because you sit down and you really think to yourself, if everything would have played out right, he would have been next level. I mean, he would have been in Canton. I mean, now you think yourself, now he would be what, 38? He was 38. He probably would be in Canton by now, honestly. Yeah. I mean, he might have, probably hung it up maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And head on his way to Canton. He would have, he was that legit. Yeah. And that's the thing where, and it's when you, and I think people don't really, understand as far as a guy that young making such an impact so early. And it just make you think to yourself, like, God, like, just imagine if you would have hit 30, like in his prime. Like, you think to yourself, and then, and this, man, just how much of an impact he would have been on his team. A lot of things, and it's just, and it's one of the things where, like, his impact, even to this day, is felt with this team. You just look at it, like, I think one of the streets that lead to the stadium is Sean Taylor Drive. So you look at that and you just sit down and think it's from a Washington football standpoint, he's probably one of the greatest what ifs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Honestly, sure. He's the greatest what if, because I think he was definitely on his way to doing his thing. Like you said, if he's not on your list as far as your favorite players from the 2000s, you don't love this team,
right?
You don't love this.
He was when a lot of people that this phrase is getting thrown around a lot these days. He truly was built different.
Yeah.
He was in the same boat as Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu, as Pat McAfee likes to call him, Troy Polamalu. Those three guys in the 2000s, that was the gold standard for the safety position. And of course, we consider Ed Reed, I know a lot of people do consider him the greatest safety of all time. Troy's not that far behind.
Yeah.
Sean Taylor would have been right up in there with it, and you could have made an argument for any one of the three. And of course, our argument, I think, would have been Sean Taylor no matter what.
Yeah.
It was just, like you said, it's the biggest what if in our organization, and it's something that unfortunately, it's always going to be a what if.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always going to be the greatest what ifs in Washington football team history. Yeah. And other, let's see, yeah, that also had my list. Yeah, Sean Taylor, yeah, yep, guys. Actually, in a weird way too, I could bring this guy up as well. Another Michigan man. I used to like Todd Collins. Todd Collins was my guy. I like Todd Collins. Even in the short time that he played with us, that run in 2007.
Yep.
That's one of those kind of moments like we talk about. That's one of the things where you felt so proud to be a part of that team,
Yeah.
especially after the tragedy of Sean Taylor. You look at that type of team, and it's like, yeah, we here, like the rugged, the journeyman man from Michigan,
Yep.
Todd Collins, and yeah, that was definitely he was one of the guys I really kind of rallied for. But I'm telling you, this list could be pages long, but
Oh yeah.
we had to condense it to a point where, because there's a lot of guys that really were omitted from this list that
Yep.
definitely deserve to be in this list, but
Chris Cooley. Chris Cooley is one of the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, Chris
Uh,
Cooley, yeah.
Rock Hartwright.
Yes, Rock. Yes.
LeVar Arrington. Oh, LeVar Arrington.
LeVar
I don't know why I
Arrington,
didn't put him on my list.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a bunch. There's so many teams, and it's weird because we didn't have a lot of successful seasons.
I know,
but we always seem to have like one or two really good players every year.
Yeah.
And LeVar Arrington is definitely one of mine. I'll put him on my list. He's my fifth, LeVar Arrington.
Yeah, I like LeVar. Yeah, and I wanted to do Santana. Yeah, Santana should have been on my list, but like you said, it's just so fluid. What he did for us, especially in that Cowboy game, the Cowboy Killer, and then also let's not forget who he threw the ball to. I used to call. What I used to call him, Michael Vick Brunell.
Oh, Brunell.
And because remember he had that big run in that Cowboy game.
Yeah,
and I was like, yo, look at that boy. That boy looking like Vick.
I do remember that. Man, I need to go back and I want to try to find that game because that was such a fun game. Well, I mean, the whole game in its entirety wasn't fun to watch, but those last 5 minutes, game minutes of that game was something crazy.
Yeah, that was legendary. And that was on the Monday Night Football. We were down 13-0.
We're down 13-0, almost the entire game.
Yep. And then 2 bullet passes. But Mark Brunell, he was like a low-key gunslinger. Like I remember one time we played the Texans. That man went like 22 for 22. Like I was like, yo, Mark Brunell it's official.
Yeah, Mark Brunell, he slaying that thing, and yeah, man, he was. I didn't really know who he was before he got to Washington. I didn't know about his time in Jacksonville or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. Yeah, a lot of good memories from that decade.
Yeah, it was a lot of good came out of that, despite the years that we weren't successful. I mean, we had a few years. I think 2005 we made it. 2007 we made it, and that's
not again until 2012.
Not again until 2012. We had two good times in the decade. So,
Yep. Hey, but you know what? The 2020s are gonna be so much better. We're gonna do once whatever network signs us within the next 10 years. When we look back on our favorite moments from the decade. Yeah. We're gonna have 2 or 3, Super Bowl winning drives from Ryan Fitzpatrick, 1 or 2 from Heineke,
Because we got a few, and it's crazy. We just scratched the surface in 2020. We got plenty of moments already, like almost damn near a decade in 1 year.
Yeah, the team is so young.
Yep. And we were definitely on our way to doing something successful, like you said. And this, I mean, the decade is looking pretty good. Everything is kind of panning out our way. And big time.
And it's a long time ago. We deserve it. Especially you. You've been a fan so much longer than I have. And you remember you remember those late 90s, early 2000s a lot better than I do, and people like you, man, fans like you, we deserve a good run.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you said, and it's funny, and you know, and it's I don't know if you noticed on our Twitter bio, our birthday. Did you notice
No,
that?
I haven't even
Our
noticed that.
birthday is January 26th, 1992. That was the day that we won a Super Bowl. So
I was
it's been 29 years.
Yep, I was born 8 months and 4 days later.
Nice. Yeah, I think I was what 7 at that time. I was 7. I'm 7 years old. Like, and I remember it briefly, but not to a point where I can comprehend like what I was doing at that time.
Mhm.
Like you're little, you're 7, and of course,
Right.
so yeah. So yeah, a lot of things happened in that point. I recall it, and of course, and I do remember, that was like, that was a premier franchise.
Yeah.
We was a premier franchise. We were literally the America's team in the
Yep.
80s and the 90s, well, the beginning of the 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, we deserve it because we done been through some stuff. Like as far as a organization, like I mean, more than many people could bear. So
Yeah, those Patriots fans, they don't know the struggle. They've been spoiled.
right, they got a
So it's
set of
not
nine. They got a set of 9 season. They want to freak out. I'm like, dude, y'all been
right.
this whole decade. It's like probably your second or third time this decade in not making the playoffs.
Right.
I think it might be the second. Right. I'm like, then y'all get here we go. And then I was like, y'all get a guy in the 6th round, and he just becomes one of the greatest players of all time.
Right.
Like, yeah, y'all spoiled. But yeah, man. So, man, let's put a bow on this week's Washington Football Guys pod, man. Any final thoughts?
Man, not really. I'm just like I keep saying it. I keep saying it. I'm just excited for the season to start. This is I don't think we as a collective fan base haven't been this excited going into a season since maybe the 2013 season after RG3's rookie season. But really, even after the one playoff appearance we had with Kirk Cousins back in 15, I believe it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Going into it, we were optimistic, but I don't even think we were this excited about what we could do. And not just for that year, or not just for this year coming up, but for years to come. I'm excited. I can't wait till next Friday so we can do this again. That's it.
Yeah.
Y'all know where to find me. If you don't, right there, FNC Pod. That is my Twitter handle. We're gonna be doing a lot of football stuff coming up. We're getting into. I know we're getting into training camp pretty soon. We're covering that a lot. Definitely go check out all the boys on and the girl on Off the Ball Network. They're all doing great things. They got a lot of basketball content out right now. They're in the thick of it, and here she is. She's back.
What? Yes, our third member. Watch the football team.
You?
Yes, that's me.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, go check out everybody Off the Ball. They're all doing great things. Basketball season. If you're a basketball fan, man, now is the time to be a part of Off the Ball Network and keep tuning into everything they're putting out.
Yes, indeed. Definitely follow me on social media. I think I got it right. Yeah, this time. Yep. Under Couch Coach Live. You can just check out our podcast that we do. That'll be on Apple, Spotify, Apple, you name it. And also follow us on social media. Follow us on the Twitter. We are WF Guys on Twitter. Also, we can check out our podcast. We get ready. Put the podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you got it. We'll put it on there, and we'll put this on. We'll put this on YouTube. We'll put it on the Off the Ball Network YouTube page. Also, I'll probably put this on my particular on the Couch Coach Live page and what have you, and also, and we'll have some. You have more. You have multitude of ways of catching the Washington Football Guys. Either audio, visual, we'll have that there for you. So definitely, once again, appreciate you, Rob, for another fantastic week of Watch the Football Guys podcast.
Always excited to do it again next Friday.
Yes, indeed. We'll catch you guys next Friday, man. This has been the Washington Football Guys podcast. We'll catch you next week.